baik tu dia jadi beratahu रेडियो फीजी बहुत रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Good evening, Fiji. In this bulletin, PM to make announcements on COVID-19 restrictions. Permanent Secretary for Health retires. And pine industry in a lull.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spate.
Decisions on the government's next step in relation to COVID-19 will be announced in the coming days. This was confirmed by Prime Minister Vorengem Bainimarama while commissioning the Rukuruku level seawall in Nandronga today. Felipe Naikaso has more.
Necessary announcements on Fiji's strategy for COVID-19 will be made at the launch of the new mobile contact tracing app called Care Fiji.
I'm sure you all may have some questions about the next steps for Fiji's health directives relating to COVID-19. We are finalizing our assessment on how we responsibly take Fiji forward into the post-COVID era.
Bainimarama also told villagers that the announcement will include what decision has been made on reopening of schools and the scaling back of other measures. Meanwhile, Rukurukulevu village is the latest coastal community to have security and a peace of mind that only a seawall can provide.
Rukurukulevu village has long been the forefront of a changing climate, suffering from strengthening storms and rising sea levels. Coastal erosion threatened the community even during normal high tides.
Hilanangaw ng palabu, tangi vakina chuma na Rukurukulevu.
The last seawall was built in the 90s, and we are thankful for the government in assisting us build a better and stronger seawall as we are vulnerable to coastal erosion.
The cost of this 400 meters of reinforced raised concrete seawall was $438,000. Felipe Naikaso, FBC News.
Dr. James Fong has been appointed the new acting permanent secretary for Health and Medical Services. He takes over from Bernadette Welch, who has retired after 4 years of service in various roles across the civil service and returns to Australia. Dr. Fong has more than 3 decades of service as a medical expert, and more recently he served as the general manager for the country's COVID-19 incident management team. Dr. Fong takes on the new acting PS role effective immediately. Amidst the other problems arising during this COVID-19 pandemic, the mental health and well-being of people is also a rising concern. With various forms of assistance available, communities and individuals are being urged to seek help. Mental health specialists say help is available. However, the difficult part is getting people to realize they need help and reach out for it. Venina Rakautonga has more.
Professionals are worried that Fijians under stress due to COVID-19 may be turning to drugs and alcohol to try and relieve mental health issues.
We need to find a way to talk about this in a healthy manner. So mental health happy hour is about doing something that you absolutely enjoy, that is absolutely fantastic, without the use of any substances.
Kuruleva says the hardest part is people coming to terms with their mental anguish and finding someone to confide in.
Support is available for everyone, and we must utilize the services that we have. You must call us. We might be really good at our jobs, but I tell you, we cannot read anybody's mind. So you need to tell us what's going on and we will try and assist.
Mental health specialist Prem Singh says family members play a critical role for individuals going through a difficult time.
For the families to be more observant of these individuals. So if there is a drastic change in behavior, or if there is a drastic change in any type of situation at home, family support is very, very critical.
If you or someone you know needs help coping, there are helplines run by Medical Services Pacific, Empower Pacific, Lifeline Fiji and Youth Champs for Mental Health that run services for Fijians going through any form of anxiety or depression. Venina Rakautonga, FBC News.
The timber industry is facing challenging times as both supply and demand for pine wood and chips have fallen. The Ministry of Forests confirms a shrink in the construction industry. A fall in demand of paper locally and abroad has had a ripple effect. Apinisa Wangarandovu with the details.
The Ministry of Forests confirms the pine sector has been the hardest hit since the coronavirus shook the global economy.
The wood supply, the actual pine wood supply, dropped by about 28%. And wood chips by 18.4%. Wood chips are actually exported to two markets, Japan and China.
Fiji exported 3 consignments of wood chips worth $21 million last month, but this is 1 shipment less than normal. A drop in the supply of sawn timber to local and the Pacific market is attributed to the current economic climate.
There has been a shrinking in the construction sector, and that has led to a drop in pine wood demand. The pine, that's by 43% actually.
Permanent Secretary for Forests Pen Embali Nambuli says to keep the industry afloat, Fijians can apply to sell timber destroyed during Tropical Cyclone Harold.
Any surplus from the timber can be sold domestically and it can be exported. So hence the facilitation of the export licenses within 24 to 48 hours.
Amidst these challenges, the Forestry Ministry says the main suppliers, Fiji Pine and Tropic Woods, have re-strategized to retain all employees. Workers have been diverted to planting trees for the time being. Apinisa Wangarandovu, FBC News.
One of the men named by purported anti-government agitator Feral Khan has admitted to meeting Khan. Feroz Ghulam Muhammad, known for his rants against the government on social media, has uploaded a new video where he says Khan did in fact approach him.
Feral Khan. I have met Feral Khan a few times back before the elections. He seems to know everything about the government. He seems that he can hack anything.
Up ahead, dairy industry strives on amidst COVID-19. A new NGO to address social issues in Nadrunga.
Pula nadang ko aproslan kerse, go erkraki. Do televizyon navarong na Radio Fiji 1 nandomo ibiti.
Radio Fiji 1 nandomo ibiti.
While the coronavirus has gripped a number of sectors, it's had little impact on the dairy industry. The Fiji Cooperative Dairy Company Limited says some of the restrictions have actually proven beneficial to farmers. Kritika Kumar reports.
Farmers spent a majority of their time on the farm during the COVID-19 restrictions than ever before.
No problem in the milk production, because what happened is the interventions were coming up from the last 2 years, and we have seen there is a 7% in the first time in the quota of after 3 years we have been above the by 7%. The production has increased by 7%.
The corporation says the cost of raw materials has increased slightly following the pandemic, but not so much as to affect profits.
So what Fiji Cooperative is looking after is to list cost rations to produce through our feed mill, so that farmers are able to get at least at an affordable price, and they are able to feed cows, which our practice should be.
For farmers, though, access to essential supplies proven difficult.
The other means like slow in supply of cattle supplement feed, and our milk collection, the proceeds were not actually affected.
Singh says thankfully they haven't had to implement any changes to their operations.
Well, there wasn't any changes. They all stayed the same. So they were not affected because the cows were enjoying pasture. Timely, their time for milking was not disturbed. So it went on smoothly.
The farm has been in operation for past 55 years with more than 500 cattle, which produces around 1,000 litres of milk per day. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
The newly launched NGO, the Hakwa Foundation in Singatoka, will focus on 6 thematic strategies. Founder and director Silitan Donu says they will work on alleviating extreme poverty, education, health, proper housing, disaster response, as well as sports and recreational activities. Donu says their surveys indicate that most social problems in the Nandronga Navosa province relate to these issues. Chosai Nanunga reports.
In an effort to address these issues, the foundation is working closely with external stakeholders for the effective implementation of various community projects.
Future plan is to work in collaboration with the corporate sectors, and this will also provide a platform for them to achieve their corporate social responsibilities.
Donu highlighted they are also prioritizing the health needs of underprivileged Fijians in the province.
We have had past issues where children would like to go to overseas for surgery, and there is no one to support them, or they go around looking for funding to fund their overseas trip. So that's where we this is why we put health as our third strategy.
The challenge that I face now in regards to these issues is really touching, and especially the ages from 16 to 18. These are the target group, that youth groups that they face these challenges.
The group is expected to visit 4 villages on Malolo Island next week, distributing 361 biomass stoves to households affected by the recent natural hazards. Sosaya Nanunga, FBC News.
A new market, new bus station and an expansion are part of plans earmarked for Nriketi and Madawata to become a small township. Tucked neatly on the side of the main Nriketi to Nambawalu Highway, it's the main stopover for travellers between Lambasa, Savusavu and Bua. Eleanor Tarangai View has more.
For over 6 years now, these market vendors in Nriketi have been selling from these tin shacks which they built themselves.
We used to sell in front of the shops on the other side, and then we were banned. So we cleared the land this side and built our own stalls.
Good news for these vendors. Minister for Lands and Mineral Resources Choni Usamate has revealed they've subdivided several acres of land, and there are plans for the construction of a new market.
And there's a portion of that land that they've decided to give to the Lambasa Town Council so that they can develop the market area.
On average, 18 inter-island shipping buses and even more local buses, private cars and cargo trucks stop by Nriketi on a daily basis. The expansion plan is welcome news.
For 6 years, I've been selling from here. It's about time we have a new market. It will be the best news so far for us this year.
Speaking after a visit to Nriketi last week, Usamate says while there still needs to be a lot of work done, they will be looking for funding.
So our focus now, the subdivision has been there. We'll have to find ways to finance that, whether through government finances or through partnership with the private sector. Those are the measures that we'll be looking at to try to make that the dream of Nriketi becoming a sort of a mini town.
There is no timeline set yet for the completion of this development at Nriketi. Eleanor Tarangai View, FBC News.
British High Commissioner Melanie Hopkins wraps up her 4-year tenure in Fiji this month. Hopkins says while there are many lifelong memories, there's also been a significant expansion of the United Kingdom's presence in Fiji and the region, a renewed focus on climate change and the strengthening of old ties. Maggie Boyle reports.
Climate change and the British government's support for it has been high on Hopkins' priority list.
This means that the UK is engaging with the Pacific at a deeper level, including with regional organisations, than was the case a few years ago, which is right, particularly given the focus in the UK on climate change. That's always been a big focus for us, and we were the first country to have legally binding targets to reduce emissions.
While the legacy of the British and Fijian government has always been acknowledged under Commissioner Hopkins, in the last 4 years that relationship has significantly been strengthened.
Among her Fiji highlights, Hopkins says the royal visit in 2018 definitely stands out.
That incredible burst of warmth And then, for example, at Soloway Suva, there was a lady that had served tea to the Queen on a previous visit. So it's all of those personal connections. But what it really shows is the power of the royal family to act as a force for good.
Going forward, the High Commissioner says development cooperation will only get better.
I've been just delighted as High Commissioner here to oversee a doubling of our team in Suva, doing more on programme, looking more at the big sort of development questions that Fiji has.
Hopkins will return to the UK next week before taking on her next diplomatic posting in Brazil. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Turning overseas, the Indian Army says that 20 of its soldiers have been killed in clashes with Chinese troops at a disputed border site. This is a major escalation of a week-long standoff in the Western Himalayas. And it's business time now with Whitney.
Thanks, Jackie. Coming up in business tonight, an aluminium company retains all staff. And in growing Fiji, entrepreneurial farming on the up. Stay with us.
My name is Neha and I'm from Kadavi, and Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Manohan Aluminium and Glass Limited has managed to continue normal operations during this COVID-19 crisis. Established 40 years ago, the company employs about 60 people and is continuing with construction projects around the country. Koroi Tandulala reports.
With many businesses laying off workers as a cost-cutting measure due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Manohan Aluminium and Glass has retained all its employees.
And at this time, the coronavirus, we never laid off anybody, we never cut anyone's wages. We just continued as normal. Because in this industry, it is very critical, very difficult to train people. The thing is that, as I said, it's not about profit. It's over the last 40 years, we built assets. So we are utilizing that to keep our staff employed.
Managing Director Raj Manohan says the raw material supply chain is not directly affected by the pandemic.
Number one, we're training staff. Like at this stage, with this pandemic, we have hired more staff to train them because it's a very difficult industry, very technical. And we are now getting ready for Cunningham Road, where it's a very massive warehouse. So we need people. And profit is not only the issue.
Manohan says they have some major project that they are currently working on, and they're continuing to develop new products to expand their business. Koroi Tandulala, FBC News.
U.S. retail sales increased by the highest percentage on record in May after 2 straight months of sharp declines as businesses reopened. This has been presented as more evidence that the recession triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic was over or drawing to an end. And Wall Street advanced today with the prospect of additional stimulus and a record jump in retail sales. As mentioned, this suggests the U.S. economy could bounce back sooner than expected. We now join Sharon from HFC Bank with the latest from the money markets.
Safe haven gold pushed higher on news of a fresh coronavirus outbreak in China. The US dollar was mostly stronger as well. US retail sales jumped to a record 17.7% in May, blowing past the 8% forecast. This reinforced views that the worst may be over for the world's largest economy. Meanwhile, the Bank of Japan increased the overall lending packages for cash-strapped firms to $1 trillion from about $700 billion, while keeping interest rates steady. The British pound received some support from unemployment numbers that were not as bad as feared and on friendlier Brexit talks. Closer to home, New Zealand's seasonally adjusted current account deficit was down $372 million to $1.6 billion in the March quarter 2020. Their annual current account deficit for the year to March was $8.5 billion, down from $10.8 billion for the same period last year. And that's all from HFC Bank for now. Vinaka.
Turning to today's exchange rates as set this morning, the Fiji dollar showed gains against the currencies of our two major trading partners, Australia and New Zealand, as well as recording a rise versus the euro, but it declined against the Chinese yuan and the US dollar, as well as the PNG kina and the Japanese yen. Looking at the commodities, oil prices continued to hover around $37 per barrel. Gold was on the decline at $1,723 per ounce, and silver closed up at $37.59 an ounce. The Agricultural Ministry has recorded an increase in entrepreneurial farming amidst COVID-19. Permanent Secretary Tesh Das says there is a pronounced interest in commercial farming from Fijians at the household level. Kelly Vadala reports.
Efforts such as this will further boost the agriculture sector.
I hear of stories every single day where people actually are moving to agriculture. Where they have land, they want to utilize the land for agriculture. Where they don't have land, they want to acquire land to do agriculture. Where households have actually done small backyard farming, they're now looking and say, wow, I can actually get into commercial agriculture by securing maybe a small plot, a quarter, half acre, or even an acre of land.
Das says farming should be part of everyone's lives because it has boundless potential to create opportunities for Fiji.
One good thing that's come out of COVID is that realization that food is a necessity, and to address the issue of food security, or mostly insecurity in Fiji, farming is the way to go.
Agriculture Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy says Fiji needs to up its game, raise production and supply.
I want to thank all the households in Fiji. We gave about 36,000 seed package to 36,000 households, and they now are producing their own food.
The ministry says farming should not only be an activity or a profession, but a way of life, as it comes in handy during difficult times. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
That's it from Business Tonight. We now join Jamie with the latest in sports.
Thank you, Whitney, and good evening. In Sports Tonight, cameras yet to roll on Fiji Sevens film. And Wonder Boy may return to Indian Super League. This and more coming up.
Bola, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka, and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
The script's written, but the cameras aren't ready to roll just yet. That's the confirmation from former Fiji Sevens coach Ben Ryan regarding the film about Fiji's gold medal victory at the 2016 Rio Olympics. Ryan revealed this while answering questions on his Facebook page last night. Aquila Dama with the details.
There's no confirmation on when shooting for the Fiji Sevens film on their Olympic gold medal win will start.
The script's been written, funding's been secured, and so I know negotiations are going on. Obviously, we would love to be able to film in Fiji. The Fiji Film and the government have got to agree for that to happen.
Ryan says there's no better place to shoot the film than Fiji.
But we're really hopeful that we can, because not only would it boost the local economy, it'd be, if you're going to film something about Fiji, then we want to be in Fiji. We don't want to be in New Zealand or Tonga filming. So fingers crossed on that one.
While Fiji's achievement in 2016 will be documented in a film, the FRU is working around the clock to ensure the gold medal won in Rio will be defended in Tokyo.
We're continuing to have discussions with Australia and New Zealand when if we become part of the bubble, what are the opportunities there for us, not only for the men's, also for the women's.
The Fiji Sevens squad will be back in camp as soon as restrictions are lifted. Aquila Dama, FBC Sports.
Two more Hero India Super League clubs are interested in Fiji football star Roy Krishna. The Fijian Wonder Boy is yet to make a decision on his professional career for the 2020-21 season. Krishna confirmed that Mumbai City FC and East Bengal FC have approached him. His former club ATK has also shown their interest to retain him. Krishna said he will have a thorough discussion with his agent before making a decision. Meanwhile, national football rep Kishan Sami has signed a one-year deal with New Zealand-based club Manukau United. Rewa football acting head coach Marika Rondu has raised concerns about the Vodafone Fiji fact being scheduled for November. As one of the districts competing for the top 6 spots in the tournament, Rondu is wary of letting his players take the field until and unless the authorities say it's safe to do so. Caroline Tavi has more.
We wait for the start.
Rewa acting head coach Marika Rondu says the best option for the Fiji FA teams is to cancel all tournaments for the rest of the year.
Though the game time reduces, that does not take away the fact that the tournament, I think, will be held in 1 week. So, but my take on this is, I think, with the current pandemic, we should really consider relooking at trying to abolish the Fiji fact.
Rondu is the first coach of a top district team to speak publicly about his concern relating to player safety and welfare as the Fiji FA tries to figure out how to hold tournaments in a post-COVID-19 situation. Responding to concerns raised by Rondu, Fiji FA Chief Executive Mohammed Yusuf says they will only act on government directives.
And if the government gives all clear, then we will continue with our program. If the government says no, then it's another matter. At the moment, all our programs, revised program is done based on the assumption that the government is going to give all clear.
In the meantime, the Rewa side is aware that there is a lot of work that needs to be done to earn a place in the Fiji fact.
At the moment, there's no indication of any team that would miss out because everybody is currently in the race for the top 5 position. So anybody can miss out in the Fiji fact.
The only team that has qualified for the week-long tournament is Lambasa, while the other 5 districts will have to compete for a spot. Carly Tavi, FBC Sports.
The approval of the Women's Rugby League Elite competition in the NRL is good news for the Fiji Mbulikula as they look ahead to next year's Emerging Nations World Championship in June. The FNRL has expressed interest in sending the Mbulikula to the championship for another run at creating history.
It's great news to hear that the NRL women will go ahead this year. As you know, we have quite a lot of talent, girls who are in Australia playing in the NRL women's competition that have Fijian heritage.
July 2021 is earmarked for the Emerging Nations Championship in England. The Fiji Mbulikula have already registered its expression of interest to participate, and we await feedback with respect to this event.
Fiji Mbati prop Kane Evans is unavailable for selection by the Eels for this weekend's NRL Round 6 clash against the Roosters. Fijian King Buniayawa's journey to the New Zealand Warriors has been a long road. Having now settled with the Warriors, the Lautoka-born man is gearing up for a crucial clash against the South Sydney Rabbitohs on Friday. That's it from Sports Tonight. Coming up in new media, Germany launches its new COVID-19 app. This and more after the break.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lautoka and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
And Angie joins us now with weather.
Aloha and welcome to the Weather World. It's been a wonderful yet breezy day. It's only Wednesday, but the weather is giving out chills for a weekend. The nights are pretty chilly combined with showers. Now moving on to the other cool centers. In the west, what can be better with nice cool winds and sunshine being the talk of the town? Eastwards from Peck Harbour to Suva, morning showers were high. Sunshine came to rescue, but then showers took over again. And up north, the sun had so much to offer, but was covered by light showers. At sea, southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, moderate to rough seas. Now turning to the tides, low tide at 9:59 p.m. with high tide at 4:19 a.m. Sunrise will be at 6:36. For tomorrow, light showers to bypass without much interruption. Looks like a good day to me. Tomorrow's temps, Suva will be the coolest at 29 degrees. It's the cold time now. And looking further onto Friday, the weather looks settled and welcoming. That's all the weather news from the Weather World. It's back to Jackie.
Thanks so much for that, Angie. In Fijian Pulse tonight, we ask, what is your take on the possibility of schools only reopening for years 12 and 13?
Yes, I totally support them to coming back to school, and they have to be with, especially when they are doing their group work, they will be more involved in their social life.
I think it's supposed to be for all the kids, yeah? Because we're thinking of our kids, small kids, yeah? And if only for the form 6 and 7, I think it's not so good, yeah?
Yeah, I think the government should open school for only form 6 and 7, just because of the COVID-19.
I think it should be better to open for all the kids, eh?
Recapping the main stories for tonight, PM to make announcements on COVID-19 restrictions. Permanent Secretary for Health retires, and pine industry in a lull. Now for these stories and others, tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Our poll question we're asking, is Hoskins Sotutu proving to be the best candidate for the All Blacks number 8 position? Visit our FBC website to answer. And our shot of the day comes from Lautoka. Shivnil Lal took this of the sunset. Absolutely gorgeous at the famous Marine Drive. And you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj, via Facebook page FBC News and our Twitter page at FBC_news. That's your news for tonight. Until tomorrow from the team and I, do stay safe. Bye for now.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka, and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.